Kuwait prepares to send dozens of athletes to the biggest multisport international event in China, which boasts of more participants compared to the Olympics. Melchezedek Cadiz reports.
Assalamu alaikum. More than 12,000 athletes from dozens of countries, including Kuwait, will compete in the upcoming Hangzhou Asian Games in China this month. The giant sports festival set to take place in eastern China will start on September 23, 2023 and conclude on October 8, 2023. The Asian Games has recorded more than 12,400 athletes, which means it has more participants compared to about 11,000 participants who joined the Tokyo Olympics 2 years ago. The Kuwaiti delegation will be sending 140 athletes for the Hangzhou Asian Games, consisting of 117 male athletes and 23 female athletes. The delegates will be leaving for China on September 19th. The Games were initially scheduled to occur in 2022, but got postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Asian Games is China's biggest multi-sport international event since its pandemic restrictions ended nearly a year ago. Barakallahu fikum jami'an, kan hada Melchezedek Cadiz sa Akhbar SMNI, Kuwait.
Meanwhile, the United Arab Emirates lifted the visa ban on Nigerians with immediate effect as both sides ended months of political deadlock. Gratero Omori has the details.
The President of the United Arab Emirates, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, secured landmark deals with Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu after ending nearly 1 year of visa ban on Nigerian travelers. Under the historic agreement, Abu Dhabi-based Etihad Airlines and Dubai-based Emirates Airlines will immediately resume flight schedules in and out of Nigeria. Moreover, the investment arms of the government of the United Arab Emirates will invest several billions of US dollars worth of new investments into the Nigerian economy across multiple sectors. The easing of visa restrictions happened after the UAE banned nationals of about 20 African countries from entering its borders on October 18, 2022. Both sides faced a series of diplomatic rows on issues involving flight allocations and travel restrictions, since the UAE imposed the ban until the former president of Nigeria requested for the Gulf nation to end the ban in February of this year. On August 24, Tinubu appealed to resolve its diplomatic tensions with the UAE and described their conflict as a family problem. The Nigerian president has also successfully negotiated a joint foreign exchange liquidity program with the UAE to be announced in detail in the coming weeks. Reporting from Dubai, this has been Gratero Omori, SMNI News, United Arab Emirates.
Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson criticized the presence of the United States military in the Middle East and urged them to move out of the continent as soon as possible. Daniela Paulite has the details.
The military presence of the United States in the Middle East is damaging the peace and stability in the region. This is what Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Nasser Kanani said at a press conference recently held in Tehran. According to the spokesman, interference by external forces, especially the United States in the Middle East, is not conducive to regional deployment. He also stressed that regional security should be jointly maintained by countries in the region, as the United States is only serving its own interest. He then called on the U.S. military to withdraw its troops from the Middle East as soon as possible.
نیروهای نظامی امریکا در منطقه هیچگاه به دنبال تامین ثبات و امنیت نبودند و در هر منطقه‌ای هم که حضور پیدا کردند، در هر کشوری که حضور پیدا کردند، نه تنها کمکی به تحکیم صلح و ثبات نشد، بلکه زمین ساز ایجاد بی‌ثباتی و ناامنی در اون کشور و در اون منطقه شد. بنابراین
Asked about the late progress regarding the resumption of the implementation of the Iran nuclear deal, Kanani said the road to negotiations is not close, and Iran will continue to seek the lifting of illegal sanctions imposed by the United States. He also said that the U.S. imposed such illegal sanctions to safeguard its national interest. The nuclear deal refers to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA. This deal was signed with world powers in July 2015. The deal aims to put some restrictions on its nuclear program in return for the removal of sanctions imposed against Iran. However, the U.S. pulled out of the nuclear deal in May 2018 and reimposed sanctions on Iran, which prompted it to drop some of its nuclear commitments under the JCPOA. Talks about reviving the nuclear deal resumed in April 2021 in Vienna, Austria, together with the representatives of Iran, China, France, Germany, Russia, and the United Kingdom. At that time, messages were related to American representatives because Iran reportedly refused to hold direct talks since the U.S. is no longer a member. However, no significant breakthrough has been achieved since the end of the last round of talks in August 2022. This has been Daniela Paulite, SMNI News.
Business groups asked the Prime Minister of Australia to take with him a delegation of corporation chiefs when he visits China later this year. Shayna Salim reports.
Australian and Chinese officials are still finalizing the details of Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's upcoming trip to China. With the officials still busy finalizing the details of the trip, business leaders have proposed that the Australian leader make the visit a more important one by making Beijing an economic partner. Albanese confirmed he'd accepted Chinese President Xi Jinping's invitation to visit Beijing this year, following a meeting with Chinese President Li Chang on the sidelines of last week's East Asia Summit. It will be the first time an Australian Prime Minister will visit China since Malcolm Turnbull did so in 2016. Australia-China Business Council President David Olsen said he hoped Albanese would take representatives from the business community, noting that it would be a lost opportunity to leave them behind since Canberra's relationship with Beijing is mainly economic. Meanwhile, the chair of the Business Council of Australia's Global Engagement Committee, Warwick Smith, said that businesses had offered to accompany the Australian Prime Minister on his upcoming trip to China. The long-awaited trip could likely take some time between the late October and early December. Sources said that China wants Australia to avoid setting any preconditions on the upcoming trip. Reporting from New South Wales, this is Shayna Salim, SMNI News, Australia.
Chinese envoy criticized Japan's actions, saying that it unilaterally launched the discharge of nuclear-contaminated water from the crippled Fukushima power plant into the Pacific Ocean. The envoy also urged Japan to accept strict international supervision regarding the discharge. Ria Saito reports.
At the International Atomic Energy Agency Board of Governors meeting held yesterday in Vienna, the capital of Austria, Li Song, China's permanent representative to the United Nations and other international organizations in Vienna, says the disposal of nuclear-contaminated water into the ocean has become a major issue concerning the global marine environment and public health, and it is not a domestic affair of Japan. According to Lee, the Fukushima nuclear accident that happened 12 years ago caused a serious disaster in Japan, but the country has the responsibility and obligation to dispose of nuclear-contaminated water in the most responsible, safe, and careful way to avoid causing secondary damage to the marine environment and humanity, adding that disposing of it at the sea is not the only option nor the most responsible. Lee also emphasized that Japan has not asked the UN's nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency or IAEA, to execute comprehensive disposal options other than dumping it into the sea, which has rejected. He said the IAEA statement cannot serve a pass for Japan and just dump nuclear-contaminated water into the ocean. The Chinese envoy said the IAEA report cannot serve as a pass for Japan to go through with the discharge. He underscored the importance for the IAEA to establish a long-term and effective international monitoring mechanism no longer controlled by Japan. Lee urged TEPCO and the Japanese government to address the serious concerns of the international community. Member states and the Board of Governors should also play a principal role in establishing relevant international monitoring mechanisms and carry out regular reviews of the issues and the mechanism itself. 以上、日本からサイトリアニュースをお伝えしました。エスミナインス、ジャパン。